Oh yeah. This is Trump's America and agenda. Remember this video when grocery shopping and going out to eat, yada yada. Basically, who's gonna pick the cotton? You know. Look, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people that freaking need jobs in this country. A lot of Americans that need jobs in this country. Hey, hopefully, if we freaking kick a bunch of people off government programs that are able-bodied and stuff, maybe we can get some people to actually harvest this stuff. Oh, look at this. When did Superman get all woke and stuff? Oh, right, in the 1940s. And remember, boys and girls, like our country is made up, your school, like our country, is made up of Americans of many different races, religions, and national origins. So, yeah, it's not. That's been the Republican position, is to. Racism has always been a Democratic thing. And just because the freaking Democrats are on a different side of the racism spectrum now doesn't mean that they're not still racist. Freaking Gavin Newsom, freaking, you're tearing families apart. Yeah, that's what happens when you break the law, okay? Freaking hundreds of thousands of American families are broken apart because the father or mother committed a crime and now they're in jail. I mean, at least with deportations, now that we don't have birthright citizenship and stuff anymore, hey, we can deport them all together. They can be family time in the country they're a citizen of. And hey, look, you want to freaking immigrate here? That's great. You recognize that we're the greatest country in the world, and you want some of that for yourself. I respect that. I hope you can get that dream of yours someday. Just do it the right way and come here and be a productive member of society rather than coming here illegally and committing crimes, leeching off the system, or stealing jobs. 8 men have more money than 4 billion people combined. A single parent on food stamps isn't the reason you're broke. Yeah, false. Okay, first of all, those 8 men have created jobs, and the people on food stamps have created costs. What do you not understand here? What are they? Are they just supposed to? You think all the world's problems would be solved if billionaires gave away all their money? I guarantee you wouldn't freaking give away your money if you were a billionaire. Sure seems like they view ICE as helping them make a white ethno state. Wait a sec. She's a freaking white woman. He pours ice on her, and she's still white. What does that do? What does that change? How is that making her it a white ethno state if all it does is get the crazy off of her? She's not changing from a Hispanic lady to a white lady. There's another one. Good morning and happy Saturday to everyone outraged at the Nazification of America under Trump. Okay. The Nazification? What has Trump done? Okay, you can have problems with his tariffs, but like, what's Nazi about having tariffs? Like, he's enforced immigration laws, which, by the way, he didn't pass, and have been on the books for a lot longer than he's been president. And the previous government just wasn't enforcing them. If you disagree with the laws, freaking change the laws. The Democrats had power back in, what, 22? Or something. If they wanted to make immigration easier, they could have, but they didn't. What else has he freaking done? What has he done that's Nazi-like? Oh, he made a alligator Alcatraz. You know it's a crime to escape from prison, right? So you have people that break the law, go to prison, and then break the law again, and I'm supposed to be upset that there is another deterrent to them escaping the prison? You think the alligators are really going to be that much more lethal than the armed guards at every other prison? Yeah, the alligators don't have the rationale to use various levels of force. But there's already lethal force at every prison. Look at Trump's masked Gestapo thugs pointing loaded weapons at our free press. All Americans must speak out against this. What's the context here? What's this area that they're freaking trying to keep this person from? What is the what's the reporter doing that they didn't show in this part of it? Parents, what will you tell your children when they ask you what you did as Gaza burned? What about every other conflict we've intervened in the past century? What about freaking Vietnam? You're freaking mad at us for intervening in Vietnam. You're freaking mad at us for intervening in Korea and the Gulf War and the freaking war on terror. But now that freaking Israel and Gaza are fighting, oh, it's so freaking terrible that we're not stopping them. Also, first of all, fact, the Palestinians attacked first. Another fact, the Palestinians specifically targeted civilians, and from what I've heard, the Palestinians typically will hide their soldiers, or their guerrillas, whatever you want to call them, in with civilians. They'll station soldiers in schools and in hospitals so that freaking Israel can't attack them, which, by the way, is a violation of the Geneva Conventions, quartering soldiers with hospitals and stuff. That's a violation of the Geneva Conventions. So yeah, I'm not convinced by the freaking Palestinian thing at all. I want to see hard numbers. How many children has the IDF or have died as collateral because of the IDF versus how many Hamas soldiers, and what were the circumstances in which those unfortunate casualties occurred? Like, they never give you numbers, and they never will. And if they do, and if it's really bad, I'll eat all those words. But I haven't seen numbers. And of course, we got the fat activism in there. What opinion about health will have people doing this? Being skinny doesn't mean that you're automatically healthier than overweight people. Sorry. It's such a non-statement. Like, oh, I'm skinny, but I actually have cancer. I'm not healthier just because, you idiot, you freaking thought I was healthy, but I have cancer. Like, that's not the point. Okay? Being skinny, well, okay, and they're also going to be like, oh, so you think that all women should weigh like 40 pounds? Be real, okay? Being skinny isn't actually a good thing. There's a healthy weight, and it's not what most people would describe as skinny, okay? I mean, I've been called skinny. I'm not skinny. I'm well over underweight threshold. But yeah, if you have I don't know what the unhealthy BMI is. If you have a BMI of 25, yeah, I'm healthier than you, okay? Get over it. Or actually get over your food addiction and try and take a little bit of care of yourself. Here's one from Post with Botted Likes, or Jesus teaching, atheists, Christian nationalists, capitalism, huh? Well, here's some other things for you. If you don't work, you don't eat. That's from the Bible. Jesus also said, go and sin no more. So the atheist, like, the idea here is that, like, oh, Jesus was all about love and there's no moral principles and stuff, and atheists, we're just, like, cool with everybody unless that person happens to have a opinion on morality. You can't have all this lovey-dovey nonsense without a moral society to allow it, because everything without morality, everything descends into chaos and selfishness. And the other thing they're going to say is, like, oh, well, capitalism is all about greed, and Jesus taught about, giving to the poor and all that. It's like, yeah, there's a difference between giving to the poor and having Caesar take all your money and give it to the poor. Give it to the poor. More likely they'll take 90% of it and give like a 10% to the poor. And they need the 90% to, cover their costs and stuff. Somehow the $10 I could have just given the homeless man, I actually have to pay $9 to pay a public servant to go give $1 to the homeless man. Yeah, it makes sense. Not that you should just give homeless people money. That's generally not a good idea. Then, of course, idiots supporting the stupidest conspiracy theory ever that Trump's assassination attempt was somehow staged. If you're gonna stage an assassination attempt, you're not gonna do one that comes within an inch of actually killing you. That's so stupid. Like, and they're gonna be like, oh, it actually wasn't a bullet. Like, there's pictures that actually show the bullet. I mean, and you could see from the way Trump reacted to it as well. At first, he just kind of, the shock before he realized the actual pain. All he knows is that something touched his ear. You look at it, you see him look at it, blood. He's like, oh, that's blood. You can see him rubbing his fingers together, and then like, oh, there's a gun. Gets down. No, it wasn't staged. Just because he was a registered Republican, look, it's a known. First of all, if you're a liberal nut job, then yeah, you're going to probably. It's perfectly believable to me that he would stage this as being something done by a Republican. Plus, it's also fairly likely that he voted or registered as Republican so that he could vote against Trump in the primary. Either way, this kid clearly wanted Trump dead, and I don't see how anybody can argue that. And you know what? You know who is still encouraging someone to go out and kill Trump? Lots of liberals. Lots of people are still freaking encouraging someone to go out and kill Trump. And you know what? That never comes up when people make up this stupid theory about this whole thing being staged, or going on about how what's-his-face was a freaking registered Republican. The type of person that would want to encourage some mentally ill person to go on a suicide mission for them so they don't have to deal with Orange Man bad for the next 3.5 years is a whole new level of sick. And then they're gonna be this saying that there's no visible damage anymore to Trump's ear, and they've got like the grainiest picture ever. I haven't seen up close high definition pictures of Trump's ear. First of all, if you think he would have staged such a near assassination on his life that he wouldn't go to a little bit of effort to make the ear look damaged, Mike Tyson bit a piece of this guy's ear off. That doesn't grow back, okay? That stuff presumably can heal, but it's not going to grow back. the ear, presumably, it went through and didn't actually remove any of the tissue there, so it could heal over. And if you look closely, there's probably some scarring where the ear grew back together, especially depending on where it actually went. It was somewhere like that. I don't know exactly where it went through the ear. Either way, again, not something you'd see on this grainy picture they have. You think the COVID-19 vaccines saved millions of lives? Millions. Millions. Really? Let's just, out of curiosity, let's look this up right now. How many people died from COVID? So there was barely over 1 million confirmed deaths as it is. And you think more than 200, more than 2 million would have died. After, by the way, most of this, first of all, I don't believe these numbers at all. I'll just quickly explain why. I've heard of deaths being classified as COVID-19 deaths, like when a person died in an automobile accident, but no, they tested positive for COVID after they died, and they're like, yep, that's a COVID death. Okay, sure. You think at least 2 million other people would have died if it weren't for the, yeah, whatever. Gavin Newsom again. JD is back in California. He won't take time to debate and defend gutting of our Medicaid system. He's taking away school meal. Really, he's taking away kids' school meals. Sure. Militarizing America's streets or adding trillions to the debt. Yeah, we're not gutting. The Medicaid system is not being gutted. Ineligible people are being removed. That's it. Benefits for eligible people are not being changed. I don't know what he's referring to about the taking away kids' school meals. Militarizing America's streets. Yeah, maybe do your job. You're the freaking governor of a state. If you would actually allow your stupid state to like enforce federal laws that you're required to, then maybe we wouldn't have to send in the military. Adding trillions to the debt. We'll see. Like, again, I've got some concerns about Trump's financial plans, and my opinion at this point is we'll see what happens, honestly. When did we get this idea that Israel is portrayed well in the news? When has the mainstream news ever given Israel the benefit of the doubt? This image is almost reversed. Again, there may be some moral complexity around it, but not like that. And of course, the Epstein situation. All right. So, what do we know? We've always known that Trump had an affiliation with Epstein in like the 90s to very early 2000s. Somewhere around there. Trump was a billionaire. Epstein was an elite. Epstein had a lot of connections. Okay, look, I don't agree with this lifestyle, but if these girls are overage, which they look like young 20s, it's not illegal. All right? Trump broke off, as far as we know, Trump broke off connections after some stuff happened at Mar-a-Lago with an adult victim of Epstein's. Now, Elon Musk says, oh, Trump's in the Epstein files, that's why it'll never come out. First of all, Biden was in the White House for 4 years, and I do not believe that any Democrat would resist any opportunity to take Trump down. Okay? And I don't think it matters who they had to sacrifice for it. Like, you could have half the Senate Democrats on the Epstein list, and they would release it if it meant taking Trump down. And then Trump coming out and saying there is no Epstein list. I'm being for real here. Did anyone ever think there was an Epstein list? Like, genuinely. I know the answer is yes. I know a lot of people did. And I know now that I'm saying this, someone's going to find some old tweet or something from me where I was like, oh, Epstein didn't kill himself. Release the Epstein files. Okay. I joked like that. But genuine. Okay, put it this way. If you were a high-level politician or billionaire or something, some sort of elite, and you were engaged in this heinous criminal activity, why would you let your name be associated with that in any way? Is it just an insane egotism that makes them think they'll never get caught? I'm not saying these people aren't egotistical. I'm not saying they didn't think they would get caught. Obviously, if there was something you thought you would get caught, you probably wouldn't do it. Hopefully. Unless you're really sick. I mean, not that these guys aren't all really sick anyways. And they said most of the Epstein file is CP or CSAM. Yeah, don't release that. And I was like, oh, but like, what if, we could have, I don't know, some... Honestly, we should bring back Unix. Like, if we had Unix to go through that kind of... Anyways, I assume those tapes are still reviewed. I don't know how that sort of whole thing works. And they're like, oh, just identify the people in the tapes. Again, if you're an elite and you're engaging in criminal activities, why would you want to show your face in video? I have no reason to believe that they would have showed their faces. I have no reason to believe that they would have allowed their names to be associated with these activities. That doesn't mean that Trump's not on the list. I hope to God he's not on the list. I keep talking about the list because it's what everybody calls it. I hope to God Trump wasn't a part of this. If he was, I'm going to freaking condemn him totally. But what evidence is there? Oh, but he said that he would release the Epstein files. Honestly, whatever parts of it can be released, he should. If that's what he said he was going to do, he should. And obviously, I can't, and neither can you. None of us who doesn't have access to it can really say what's there that can be released. And then the report or whatever that concluded that the video was not edited and that, I don't know, apparently the cameras reset every night at the specific time that coincides with the bit that was apparently missing. I don't know. Look into that. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. It should be looked into. If Epstein did or didn't kill himself, I know the Clintons have a good amount of connections and stuff, and I don't know. It still seems like a pretty big thing to pull off. Now, again, super suspicious that the one part that's missing from that tape is the part that's missing. I don't think they should have come out right now at this point and said, there's no Epstein files and the tapes weren't messed with. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. This was a really bad time to come out and say that. I don't know what's so hard about saying we're still looking into it. I assume there probably is still stuff to be looked into. I don't know. Hopefully they release everything they have. But again, the idea that there was a list that or that the files would help us find all the people. Also, here's what I will say is the one legitimate potential reason why they wouldn't want to release the list And that is if they were going to go and try and round up as many of these guys as they can, especially the ones that are going to be flight risks or who are going to Epstein themselves. You know, if releasing the list publicly now means that some of those creeps are going to get away with it, then that's a legitimate reason why they might not release them now. Again, there could be their reasons. I'm not saying I don't think they're I am saying that I don't think that they're going about it the best way they could, especially with them just look. I don't know. Nobody really knows, unfortunately. We just have to hope we'll find out sooner rather than later. Anyways, I kind of went on about that for a while, and I kind of covered most of the things I intended to today. Anyways, though, that's gonna be it for this video. Again, like I said, more of just kind of a less scripted, if you could even get less scripted than most of my videos, considering they're not scripted ever. But yeah, just kind of an informal, impromptu video here. And it felt good to kind of talk about a lot of this stuff. Anyways, though, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.